it's always, I mean, it's always better to win. You know, sometimes you don't even ask yourself how you played. You're just happy that you got the 3 points. But, you know, that's life. You know, I think it's good not to see that goose egg next to our name, and now we just have to build and continue to go from there.
Go to Houston. I know they've been trouble for you guys down there. So you guys haven't been able to win down there. Why do you think Houston usually such a hard time?
But Houston historically, you know, I mean, it was a team under Dominic. It was a very feisty team, and it was a team that also relied a lot on their set pieces, their service. They had good size. They still have obviously some size on their team, you know, and Coyle, but has changed things. They play a little bit of a different formation. Last year, I think, you know, was one of those games. It was just really hot, you know, and so issues with that. So hopefully it'll be not as hot when we go down there this time. So, you know, but streaks and or things like that are made to be broken. So it's our turn to break them.
Does it look like Friberg probably still needs a little more time?
He's coming along. He's making progress. We knew it was a thing, you know, with every player. You know, the timeline, you can say an injury timeline is X because that's what it is most of the time, but everybody's different. Some guys are ready quicker, and some guys it takes a little bit longer. And right now, for him, it's probably taking a little bit longer than maybe a general timeline, but he's making progress. He's better. He's better today than he was yesterday, and he's better this week than he was last week. So, you know, when exactly he'll return, I'm not quite sure, but the most important thing is for him to be healthy.
And Remick was just a cramp.
Yeah,
okay.
he just landed. He went through full training today. You know, no issues.
You had cautioned us a little bit yesterday about going too crazy about young players and putting pressure and so forth. Are you ever wrong, or can you think of any times, even if you don't name names, where either you saw something in a young player that didn't materialize, or where maybe you undersold the assets of a young player?
Yeah, I mean, you're wrong all the time. You know, I mean, you know, if I was perfect at this, you know, we'd be, you know, 4-0 right now, and you guys wouldn't be asking me questions, you know, and they, you know, call me the Wizard of Tacoma or something. I don't know, but you know, it's you know, I mean, you always get things. So there's always a thing that I say to young coaches is you have to be aware of guys with potential. And so there's certain guys sometimes when you watch them work and they're young players and maybe they have a great speed element or have a certain quality to their game, and it always looks, God, that potential looks good, but then you're always going like, ooh, as he misses it, ooh, and you know, and you don't know, you know, so you got to make sure that that's not the quality the player has, that he has potential to show that, and he fails you. But then there's other times where you think, I don't know if he has it, and the guy does have it, ends up going somewhere else and showing it. I mean, that happens, and there's times where you think, hey, this guy has it, and he just doesn't push through onto the next level for one reason or another. You know, he doesn't make it. I mean, I know I always tell things in stories, but a little story when my youngest son with his youth team, you know, and they had a really good youth team, and one of the players was Robbie Rogers, and there was another player on that team, I'll leave his name out, who at the same stage was more talented than Robbie, and he had a left foot that was unbelievable. I mean, he was at 12, he was striking corners like Andreas is now, and the kid, you know, ended up going to Bradenton. The kid ended up playing. There's actually two kids like that. The kid ended up, you know, getting signed by a pro team and staying in the league for a couple of years, but never came through. Never came through at the end of the day. He had all the talent, you know, so you ask yourself why. Sometimes it's psychologically. Do they have the drive and the willpower to come through? But sometimes maybe the opportunities, it's you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, even Kai Kamara, who I thought was very talented, I drafted him at Columbus, and it just wasn't quite happening for him. I still believed him as a player, but it wasn't quite happening. I'm trying to rebuild a team. I needed a certain type of player. I traded him away because I needed more of a hold-up forward. Kai was still a young Colt, you know, wanted to run. So he went there. He went from there. He went to San Jose, I think, or he went to San Jose and then Houston. I don't know how it was. And then all of a sudden he got to Kansas City, and it was the right time and the right place for him. And then his career took off, and now he's one of the best forwards in the league. So he always had that, but it took him a little bit longer. Some guys like Yedlin just jumped in and it worked, and you're ready to pull him out, but he would always catch himself at training. He was pretty level-headed, and he just kept going, you know. So there is no one formula, and it's tough to predict sometimes. And you know, I get things wrong. Everybody does.
Where on that spectrum do you see Olex Anderson sitting?
You know, I mean, it's too early to tell. You know, I mean, he's a young kid. We got to remember, you know, we're talking about Jordan being a young kid, but here's a kid who's, you know, younger than Jordan, you know, and whose experiences, even though he's played for his country's national team, his experiences are less in terms of maybe the amount of coaching that he's gotten up to this stage of his career. So, you know, so Olex's potential, I think, is superb. And now you just got to see how he adjusts, as I said the other day, how he adjusts all the other things and what he's able to take in, and how fast he comprehends it and how fast he moves on. So when you talk to a young player, you know, that's why I like Christian Roldan as an example. You know, if he does something and there's an error, you know, you talk to him about it and you see that he adjusts that error out. You know, some people have been saying Jordan Morris, maybe his left foot, you know, needs to be better. Today I'm watching him shooting, and he has his choice to go right or left, and he's purposely going to his left foot. You know, you could see that he said to himself, okay, I got to work on my left foot. I got to get better. Those are the kids that make it at the end of the day, because they're able to take that information in, they're able to apply it, and they're able to grow and develop from it. So with Olex right now, all the stuff that Ezra gave him last year when he was S2, he brought in, he took it in, he developed, and he grew. And, you know, he's now at that stage with us, the first team, which is a tougher place. But, you know, I think he's the kind of guy who has a capability. But right now, you still can't predict where he's going to end up.
What you described yesterday as a step, you know, just stepping back a moment with Morris. Is 1 week enough for that, or do you see a change in his role going forward for a little while?
We'll see. You know, we'll see where we're at as a team. You know, I think that's one of those gut feeling things.
So with Dylan Remick's performance, do you see that as a bigger competition now between him and Jovan Jones?
I think it's always been a competition. I think Jovan came on and did well at the beginning, and held on to it. You know, I gave him sort of first crack on it. I thought Dylan came on and played well. You know, does Jovan, is it right to lose your job because you were away with the national team? You know, that's, you know, something you got to think about and evaluate as well. But I think we've got two good left fullbacks. I've always felt that. You know, same thing. And it's been unfortunate for O'Neill Fisher because he only got that half a game and took the red card, but he was playing well. And Tyrone's come in and played well. So I think we have two very good right fullbacks as well. So I'm very confident in those positions.